Brandon, Allison, trees were blocking many of the roadways leading to those who needed to be rescued, which meant first responders had to walk a long ways just to get to them. And those first responders say they didn't think twice about walking into badly damaged homes to pull people to safety. This is cell phone video shot by Decatur Police Chief Stephen Grizzle just a short time after violent weather moved through his community.
It's hard to describe the destruction that we saw because it's pitch black, it's still storming, there is no power at all.
Making a dangerous mission even more dangerous with the inability to clearly see fallen power lines.
Then once we got about a mile or so outside town, I figured out that this was bigger than I thought. A lot more than I thought it was.
The fire chief quickly returned to town to set up a command post. This is body camera footage given to us by the Decatur Police Department, showing some of what responding officer Luke Rushling encountered in the early morning hours of May 26th.
It's a miracle of God. The entire house, except for the very center of the structure, is collapsed. And out of it is, I think there's 3 middle-aged women, 2 small children, and a guy. And they couldn't get out. Part of the wall had collapsed in on them.
With the help of other law enforcement, Officer Rushling was able to get everyone to safety. And that was just one call. At the same time, other first responders were in the middle of similar situations.
I think it took us 7 hours to clear four homes, 5 homes.
One large downed tree after another hindering rescue efforts for those helping on the ground, but not stopping them from reaching the people waiting on them.
She comes walking out of these streets. I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm looking for my dog." And I said, "Well, honey, I got to get you out and get you dry, and I don't want you to step on a power line, so let's get you out of here." And so we get her in my unit and go up to the top. And when we get to the top, she steps out of the car and she said, "Well, I got the keys to my house." And I said, "Well, honey, you don't have a house no more." She said, "Yeah, but I'm still alive."
It wasn't until about noon that Sunday that first responders in Decatur wrapped up their search and rescue efforts, allowing for a brief break before resuming work.
I worked the Joplin tornado, and it was widespread and very damaging tornado. But this one, just being in your own community, hits different. You hate to see that.
May 26, 2024 is one shift first responders in Decatur won't forget.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm in a school all day, and so I deal with kids every day. I don't expect to go out on the street and have this massive event happen.
A massive event that everyone in the small town of Decatur survived.
Because the things that we own, those things can be replaced, but the lives that we have, we only get the one that we get to live, and Christ saw fit that none of us were going to be done that night, and that it wasn't our last day on this earth.
And one of the things that stood out to me about those first responders I just interviewed is their determination. I asked one of them if they were afraid to go into a house that was in danger of collapsing. At that point, some of the people in the room shook their heads no and later told me it's what they do. Live in Decatur tonight, Chip Scarborough, 4029 News.